on the conference line with more discussion and Q&A after the hangout. You're welcome to join us. So Robin will be bringing through Tara for us today. So we welcome Tara and Robin. Over to you.
And welcome to you all. And as we gather here in this clearing in the forest, we say, as always, this is your show, and we're not kidding you. You might think that this is arranged by us and this one, and you're just showing up. If you think that, if you think you had no hand in the design of this discussion, think again. There's nothing in your world, and there's nobody you intersect with in your world that isn't a match to your chosen tapestry of expectations. Today we're going to be talking a lot about those choices you make. And today you're going to be making a lot of choices. You'll be making choices like, that sounds interesting, or I can see how that works because, or I can't see how that works because there's too much noise around me here, or I'm not smart enough to be able to understand that, or I'll think about this later, or if I try this and fail, it will prove I can't get this to work for me and I'm doomed, etc., etc. So today, here and now, notice those choices, because then you will be catching yourself in the very act of creating you and the world around you. You will be watching your own timeless creation story. Last week, we invited you to come sit on the crescent moon with us, to see things from a new perspective. This week, we're going to challenge you to step even beyond that, as we describe for you an alternative version of your history, a hugely expanded version that starts from the truth of who you are and proceeds down some of the infinite paths you have taken to arrive at this point in a physical space-time world, to be on what you call planet Earth in what you know as the year 2015. Have you made any choices yet? And the reason we're doing this is not to trivialize the story you've made up or the stage you're playing on. This story of yours is magnificent. It's a feature-rich and extraordinarily complex game. You have focused down into this realm in a way that puts you on the leading edge of creation, and we are in awe of the experiences you are having. Your experiences are as real as you are, because at your essence, you are a consciousness. Consciousnesses have awareness. Consciousnesses think. Your thoughts are real. Your stage may be a virtual reality, but your experiences are anything but virtual. They're the breeding ground for new desires and new ideas about what to create. Let's start with this one's story, his virtual reality. It's a story based in time, so there's a history to it. Because you're intersecting with us here today, by definition, everything about this version of this conference call is a match to you. And by extension of that, there's going to be a lot about your world in general that matches this one's world. So there will likely be a lot of commonality between the popular versions of the history of his world and the history of your world, which goes something like this. Neil deGrasse Tyson, director of the Hayden Planetarium, was on the Charlie Rose show last week and was talking about Earth. The timeline of the Earth, 4.5 billion years. We spent 3.5 billion years as single-cell life on Earth. And then there's the Cambrian explosion of life. Life now has carte blanche to become complex because the system can support it. And then intelligent life, he said as he held up his hand with his thumb and forefinger pinched really close together, arose in just this last little bit of time. So here we have a well-known scientist on mainstream TV espousing what are probably to you mainstream facts about life on Earth. Well, of course, we would say this is just one version of how you got here. Within that particular story, as you listen to those words about that vast expansion of time, perhaps you get a feeling of the enormity of things. Now we want to expand that even more to a perspective that encompasses every one of the infinite paths that got you here. In Neil deGrasse Tyson's terms, we want to take you back before the Big Bang, before space and time existed, and about which today's science has no practical way of coming up with answers. Now we know it's not easy to imagine no time and no space, but if you will allow it to, your thinking mind will get the concept. Here we go. Before space and time, and eternally beyond space and time, beyond you and us as individuated consciousnesses, we just are. We are the collective consciousness of all that is. We're going to use some admittedly approximate and time-based words here, but you'll get the essence of it. In this realm, you and us and all that is are pure energy, pure love with infinite potential. And then an intention is born, an intention to experience something new. Your intention began to define you. Our intention began to define us. An infinity of intentions began to define an infinity of extensions to that collective consciousness. Then new experiences occur and give birth to new desires and intentions. This is conscious evolution. And this, therefore, is the nature of the evolution of everything in every realm, physical and non-physical. The fundamental absolute here is that the individuation that is you remains timelessly an extension of all that is, with all the power of all that is, always, without limit, at choice, and always experiencing a context that matches the expectations that come from those conscious choices. And now, down that trail of 1 trillion options, you've arrived in this shape and in this physical and non-physical context that remains timelessly a match to what you and you alone are choosing. You choose it all. When you ask us how this works or that works, because we do our best to meet you where you are and to not always go infinite on you, we often tell you what we see in your story and some of the new choices you could make. But really beneath it all, the answer is you tell us, because you are the author of your screenplay and you can and do rewrite any part of it at any time. Are you beginning to see the power that is yours? Time and space, and Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and angels and archangels and guardian angels and ascended masters and inner beings and egos and higher self and heaven and hell and old souls and young souls and life and death and past lives and future lives and astral planes and Pleiadian visitors, these are all part of stories. They may be a part of your story. And if so, they are as real as you are. You are, after all, a part of your story. But all of it is a choice. Your choice. The universe and galaxies and suns and planets and 4.5 billion years of single-cell life on Earth and dinosaurs and dodos and day and night and waking and sleeping and dreaming and land and sea and continents and trees and animals and good people and bad people and rivers and seas and lakes and beaches and fields of flowers and apple pie and ice cream. These are all parts of a story. It may be your story, but all of it is a choice, your choice. And no choice is good or bad. It's just that some choices are more fun than others. Of course, we always say choose the fun ones. But our essential message here is it's yours to choose. How you regard the past is not important. But if you are seeking to create more of what you want, then seeing the past for what it is, a work of fiction, can help a lot in freeing you from the seeming inevitability of a present you want to change. From our friends Abraham, some practical advice. There is no right or wrong way to tell your improved story. It can be about your past, present, or future experiences. The only criterion that is important is that you be conscious of your intent to tell a better feeling, improved version of your story. Telling many good feeling, short stories throughout your day will change your point of attraction. Just remember that the story you tell is the basis of your life. So tell it the way you want it to be. From Bashar. You create the past and the future from the here and now. In other words, everything is a choice and every choice is a now choice. From Bentinho Massaro. You can actually change your past and through it heal your present and improve your future effortlessly. In other words, you can imagine where you want to be and you can make up a past that matches it. Because the absolute truth of it is that this new made-up past of yours is every bit as real as that other old made-up version you've been practicing. Then start practicing the new one. Make up a new, improved story and live within that story. Can you see yourself now and now and now from this new vantage point? Before you descend completely back into this highly mesmerizing game of yours, make a little promise to yourself that you're going to keep some of this perspective in your heart and in your ongoing awareness. Begin to know in a deep place of knowing that it's just a story. It's your story, and it's a magnificent one at that. But you're not trapped within it. You're not confined by anything here but your thoughts. Choose the good ones. And now we move to our longer discussion and your questions.
This Hangout on Air was the summary of our theme for the week. Our longer discussion continues this week on our conference line on Tuesday and right now. You're welcome to join us. Remember to press *6 on your handset if you have questions or comments.